What's up? It is time for our I Hate Division preview show. Tonight we are doing the NFC and the AFC South. Ryan is on vacation this week, so we got a special guest joining us. He is the only one I know that would be a Cleveland Browns fan, decide to change his fandom and become a Jags fan of all teams. But since we're doing the AFC South tonight, I thought I'd bring him on. Let's go ahead and get it rolling.
For two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, and welcome to episode 457 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am your host, of course, Geoff Lambert. Follow me on Twitter at JeoffLambert77, and of course, you can find us over at goingfor2.com. We're syndicated in all major podcast networks. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Joining us tonight, filling in for Ryan. I mentioned at the top that he is a Jags fan now. He used to be a Browns fan, and he decided to change his fandom and go from the Browns to the Jags. And that is Shane. Follow him on Twitter at FFShaneB. And you also have the Polly's playoff tournament as well, Shane. Go ahead and talk about that a little bit as well.
Thank you, Geoff. I don't know what's better, the intro you gave me prior to the intro clip or the actual intro clip. And there's backstory behind why I was a Browns fan, and we'll get into it at some point during this episode because it's relevant to this episode. But I am a Jags fan. Yes, I chose it. They're on the upswing, and we'll take it. But yes, Polly's playoff is coming. It's starting a little bit later this year, but Polly's playoff is a tournament to end Alzheimer's. It's our main fundraiser for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. My wife's grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's back in 2019. And even prior to that, we had been fundraising for it, and then met Scott Fish, was in Scott Fish's division in Scott Fish Bowl, and he basically was like, if you have a platform, doesn't matter how big, do something with it. And I took that as, hey, I'm going to use my platform to support something that I care about and something that's close to my family with the Alzheimer's Association. So it is a super flex, non-tight end premium, tiered PPR tournament. There's managed leagues and best ball leagues this year. And the scoring, I don't know if you looked at it, Geoff, but I bumped everything up. Like the scoring is going to be insane. And I'm looking forward to it. And part of that is because last year I was on Women of Fantasy Football's Mock Girl Summer, and Josh Hudson was the host or the producer. And he was like, dude, do you just hate quarterbacks? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, -3 for an interception and then an additional -1 if it's a pick six. And I was like, hell yeah. And I nuked running back scoring last year because it was my 30th birthday and running backs fall off the cliff at age 30. So I was like, screw running backs. And this year, because of that, I was like, you know what? Because of Josh, I'm just boosting everything, scoring to the moon.
Nice. Where can we sign up for that?
You can sign up. I think I have the Google Sheet pinned to my Twitter, or you can go to, I got to actually read the link. Hold on. You can go to optimusfantasy.com. Shout out to Nate Polvote. And there's a Polly's Playoff landing page there that you can register at as well.
Good stuff. All right. Also joining us, as always, every week, my co-host, Mr. Chew at Father Dynasty. What's up, Chew?
What's up, guys? Just glad to see Shane. Our annual talk about the South, our rant, our whatever you want to call it. Probably be a little bit of negative, but hopefully a little bit of positivity. and it'll be plenty of positivity 8 days from now when one of these illustrious teams opens up the NFL preseason.
Nice. Love it. Love it. All right. Let me explain to everybody how this works. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the draft board here. We're going to start with the NFC South. It is a super flex tight end premium league, and we can only draft players from these divisions. The first 2 rounds will be NFC South, and the second 2 rounds will be AFC South only. And we'll just go round robin through the draft board. And let me go ahead and kick things off here.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right. And since we're doing NFC South first, and Chew, you are the Panthers fan, you get the 101 here. So where are you going?
Yes. Got the fireworks.
The fireworks.
And it's fireworks because I'm not going with a Panther. No offense to Superflex and no offense to the wonderful players in Carolina. I am going to go with Brian. Just kidding. Bijan Robinson. Yeah. No-brainer here. There's no amount of Superflex in this division that's going to make me not pick Bijan. It's honestly, for me, it was between him and Drake London. So it's which of the best positional players who happen to play in Atlanta am I going to pick? And going Bijan here. It's between him and Gibbs for who's going to be the RB1 this year.
Yeah, I think that's the easy pick in this division, right? Quarterback is not really its strong suit in this division. So even in Superflex, you're taking the running back here. Shane, you got the 102.
Yeah, I love that pick, and there was a reason I asked Geoff ahead of time who was going first in this one because Bijan is the clear-cut 101 for this division. Oh, God. I asked Geoff some clarifying questions, and because it's Superflex and it's redraft, not Dynasty, I would agree with Chew that Drake London should be considered here, but I'm going to lean into the Superflex and my fanboy here and go Baker.
You know what's funny is like I literally had already typed in Baker into my back.
Just get ahead of it. Yeah,
it was coming.
I could make a case for Drake London. I'm gonna make the case against Drake London here in just a second. And there's actually a third player that I was considering here. I hope he might fall to me. But Baker is the clear-cut best quarterback in this division. I think it's not close. Shuck, I think, can make a case for it because New Orleans did a good job of getting weapons around him. They just have to stay healthy. But Baker, I think, is going to be healthy. 1, 2, Bucky Irving should be healthy. He'll have Emeka Egbuka still. And he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder this season. And you know I love some Baker with a chip on his shoulder because that's when he plays his best. So I think Baker is my pick here.
Yeah, I think the fact that Baker is so much better than the quarterbacks in this division. I mean, you know, you look at the Falcons and Tua's already hurt and Penix isn't ready to start yet.
They signed Cooper Rush.
We got Cooper Rush. I didn't put him on the sheet. You know, if one of y'all want to take Cooper Rush, I'll let you. But I didn't put him on the sheet as our player pool. But and you mentioned Shuck and then you know, Bryce Young. You know, he's had some up and downs to say the least. So Baker Mayfield obviously is the best quarterback in this division. All right, I'm up at the 103, and I will take the guy that both of you mentioned already in Drake London. I have him in my Dynasty League, in one of my Dynasty Leagues, and he has been just awesome. I think I saw over the last 2 years, his touchdown target percentage is one of the highest in the NFL, which you love to see that. Whether or not it's Tua or Penix this year, I don't know if it necessarily matters. They're going to find a way to get.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think London is good enough to be considered quarterback proof?
I think he's already proven that because, I mean, have they had a quarterback in his career, really? I mean, Penix has been there. I think he had Kirk Cousins for a little bit. Yeah. So, and if Tua is healthy, I do think Tua can be really good for Drake London. I think even more so than Penix was. Tua, you know, as much as he has his faults, accuracy is one of his strengths. And I think, you know, with Drake London being you know, not one of the biggest separators in the NFL, accuracy is going to be very important. So I think Tua could be good for him. Hopefully he's healthy. All right, Shu, back to you for the 104 here.
All right, now I'm going to be a homer. Now I'm going to go over the Panther here. I'm going to go with Teteroa McMillan. I don't want to think about this one too hard. But now with all of the Panthers just dropping like flies in camp, with Nick Scorton tearing his knee up, Chris Brazzell, thankfully his is not a season ending, but I think he's going to miss
8 weeks.
2
what I
months.
saw.
So, I mean, which, again, he's already an ancillary piece. But I think Tedero McMillan putting on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason, which I don't think is a relatively
Yikes.
feasible thing. But it's a thing that sounds good in the news. So even if he put on 3 pounds of muscle, I'll take it. But as long as he didn't lose any, I trust the connection he has with Bryce. I do think that, whether Bryce Young is truly the quarterback of the future for the Panthers, which I think he could be, he's not a top 10 quarterback. He's probably not even top 15, but can he be a top 20 consistently? I will accept that if the team around him can be good enough. And I think Tedero McMillan is far and away. He will allow Bryce Young to keep his job and get a contract.
Yeah, he's definitely a beast. I did see recently some camp video. Tedero McMillan basically cooked the DB, was wide open on the deep ball, and unfortunately Bryce Young underthrew him and it was picked off. So it's like, if you could just find a way to get him the ball, I think he's going to be a monster. So, great pick there. Shane, you got the 105.
I'm going positional scarcity again here, and I'm going Kyle Pitts. And I'm a little shocked by it, to be completely honest. But with the tight end premium, again, he's the best tight end in the group by a long shot. And there's some other wide receivers that I'd like here, but I'm going to take the positional scarcity of Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I agree with that because, I think we did the North Division last week, and if you look at the NFC North, they have probably the best 4 tight ends of any division. Your worst one is Hawkinson, essentially. This is the opposite, right? I mean, this is one guy that's fantasy viable, and the other guys. Jawan Johnson's had his moments. K. Dotton
can have his moments. Yeah, exactly.
But it's not nothing that you want to stake your fantasy season on for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I am up at the 106.
It's interesting here.
Yeah, the talent pretty much drops off pretty quickly here. But there are still a couple guys on there I like. Chris Olave is still on the board. You mentioned Ibuka earlier. But I'm going to go with a little bit of positional scarcity, just looking at the guys that are still left. And I'm looking at the running back position, and there really isn't a whole lot there. I think, you have Travis Etienne and you have Bucky Irving. Those are probably the only 2 that you really feel confident about. And I will go with the guy that is with the same team that he's been with instead of taking the new guy. And I'll go with Bucky Irving here at the 106. Had a bit of a down season last year. I think he can have a bounce back season, especially if he stays healthy. He doesn't have quite the same competition in the backfield as he did when Rashad White was there. So I think Bucky can have a good season at the 106 with the running backs that are still left. I think he's a solid pick here at 106.
Yeah, I like that.
Chew, back to you.
Well, why not stick with the same position? And I'm going to go with another guy who's had not a bit of a resurgence, but a guy who I think has finally put some injuries behind him and is in the right direction with a quarterback who I trust, surprisingly, and that is Chris Olave. So being able to, I know I still have yet to have a quarterback, but again, we're in the NFC South, so it'll sort itself out. If I have to put Kenny Pickett on my team, it's perfectly fine. But Chris Olave, I think at a certain point in his career, I think we were kind of thinking, is he just Tua but a wide receiver? We were not we're not getting to see enough production from him like for a sustained season. But we saw, in spurts, he could be a tremendous wide receiver. And I know them and Jordan Tyson, again, who I thought was the best receiver in this class, is tremendous for the offense as a whole and for Shuck to help elevate the whole team. But I do think it lifts a little bit of the load off of Olave, even though I know he was a PPR monster last year. So he would lose a bit of that. But I think it opens him up a little bit for new opportunities this year. So I still think at this point in the draft to be able to get Olave, I think is pretty solid. And I think after this, it might get a little tier down. So
yeah, for sure. And he had 156 targets, by far his career high. So Chris Olave last year was a target monster. So I like that pick there. Shane, you got the 108.
Give me Ibuka. He's been sitting there for too long. And with Mike Evans out of town, Godwin being a little older, I think Ibuka will be good. Plus, I mean, when the way he started last season was incredible. and then he hit kind of a rookie wall. I think he can easily figure it out for a full season in his sophomore season, especially because part of that too was Baker got hurt.
Mhm.
So if Baker's healthy,
Mike Evans came back as well, and now he's gone.
yeah. So I'm gonna take Ibuka here. I think he's got a ton of upside for this season.
Yeah, I would agree with that there. I think he's definitely has some tremendous upside if he can recapture that magic first half of his season last year. He is a top 12 receiver, easy. So yeah, great pick there. All right, I'm back up at the 109, and I talked about the scarcity of the running backs on my last pick. And
Don't
the
do
other
it.
guy that I was thinking about is still on the board, so I
Don't
will
do
take
it.
the other one. I will take Travis Etienne here. Obviously,
Asshole.
a little bit of change of scenery. Hopefully, he is able to get a decent workload. Last year, he kind of was forgotten about in that offense. So he gets a new home in New Orleans. Alvin Kamara is still there to cause some problems as far as fantasy goes, but I think Kamara is going to take an ancillary role. They got ETN for a
That's
reason.
Trevor on the document that you just marked out.
Oh yeah, there's 2 ETNs in this division.
There is. It really threw me off. I was looking at it and I was like, "Why do you have Travis on your?" Oh, you don't.
Yep, it is a little weird to see them, but yeah. So I'll take ETN here at the running back position, and pretty much the best running back that's left on the board. Chew, back to you.
All right, now I'm going to appreciate the fact that we're playing Superflex, and it will not be to pick Bryce Young. So I'm going to go Tyler Shuck here. I'm going to go with just a nice weird stack of Shuck and Olave. You know, just something really exciting to get the juices flowing in the NFC South. I mean, I am one, as I've made many terrible calls, to quickly pivot. I give it a full season to kind of see how something pans out. I did not think that Tyler Shuck was going to work out in any capacity. Partially because he's going to the Saints, to where I feel like if you're going to prosper, it's not going to be on the Saints. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, the latter half of the season where he took the job from Rattler, I guess Rattler lost the job basically. He had, of that latter half of the season, it was either 4 or 5 games in the top 12 at quarterback. And
he was,
I
think he was QB2 for a hot minute of the season last season.
He was rolling. And again, this offense is no worse than last year. It's just cruising.
Should
again.
Be better.
So, yeah. You know, his legs. I mean, all in all, it's a very shocking pick that I thought I'd be making. You know, thinking this time last year. Blown away that I'm thinking this right
shocking?
now.
Shocking. Shocking pick. I'm trying to change. It's supposed to be linear, so I'm trying to change it while y'all are talking. Hopefully, it's changed now. Changed on my end. It hasn't changed on screen yet, but hopefully once we start picking, it'll go back to being linear and not snake.
Am I on the clock now at 11?
You are on the clock. Yes, sir.
All right. This pick is between 2 people, and I think it's very, really 3, but I think it's very easy. I'm going with, I think, the only relative rookie in this division, with Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson, as Chu mentioned earlier, was the best, if not one of the best wide receivers in this rookie class. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be an absolute monster. He's going to make it so easy for Chris Olave to get open, and Olave is going to do the same for him. They've added so many weapons to this offense for Tyler Shuck with Etienne and Tyson, and then keeping Kamara and Olave. Like, I really like Jordan Tyson as a wide receiver 2 for an offense, because you don't have the pressure, but he has the talent to be a wide receiver 1. We saw that in college when he was healthy. Like, people in college football are talking about Sam Levitt at LSU and are forgetting that Sam Levitt, Cam Scatterbo, and Jordan Tyson took Texas down to the wire in the college football playoff in 2024. So, like, the talent is there as long as he stays healthy. So I really like Tyson, and getting him here, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's a solid pick there for sure. I like that a lot, because he was pretty much consensus top 4 pick in all rookie drafts this year for Dynasty. So I think he'll be a good player. All right, I'm up at the clock with the last pick in the first round, and there is not a whole lot left. This might be the weakest division we've done so far, Chew. I don't know. We haven't got to the AFC.
You're welcome.
So, but I will go with a guy who's had success in the past. He's unfortunately dealt with a ton of injuries, but if he can stay healthy, he could still end up being Baker Mayfield's go-to guy. And I will take the old man of the group, Godwin, here at the 112 spot.
That's a good pick. I don't know if people are talking about him enough because they just love Agbuka, but
Yep,
I think
he's been
Godwin can be a
overshadowed.
real threat.
Yep, they've kind of forgotten about him, and I think he can still be, as long as he can stay healthy. That's the biggest thing for him: stay healthy, and I think he'll be good.
He still gets the lineup where he wants to too. I mean, they got Hurst. It's like no, like put him where he's at, like where he can be good while he's healthy. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Chew, you are up at the 201.
Chew, if you don't take a Panther here, I'm gonna question you.
Well, I'm gonna have to take a Panther, and
that's my point.
it might not be the one you're thinking. I'm gonna go Bryce Young.
Okay, yeah, that was one of the two.
Yeah, it is. It is the comfort of he's my quarterback too in this scenario, and that feels about right. With every other position getting pretty thin, which I think there's a little bit left at running back, but to even get a quarterback who's going to be weekly QB 15, QB 20, the points there are still going to outweigh likely what I'm going to get elsewhere. No offense to Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks. So you have to go here with Bryce Young, the stud and hopefully future quarterback of the Carolina Panthers.
Yep, you hope, right? That's the hope that he can somehow put it all together.
I think he should be. Like, the appeal of Bryce Young when he was coming in, from my perspective, especially as an Auburn fan watching him at Alabama, was his processing was going to allow him to stay in the game despite his size. So now if he can keep translating that to the NFL where he has, and they keep putting weapons around him, like Geoff was saying, he doesn't have to, or I think you were saying it too, he doesn't have to be a top 15 QB every week. But if he's top 20 and the weapons around him are good enough, I think he's going to be good enough to not necessarily lose you games, but I also don't know if he's going to be good enough to win you a ton of games either, which is fine if the rest of the team is good.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried with the new play caller. Well, not worried. It's Brad Idzik. I mean, he's been there with Canales, but like I'm wondering with some of the play calling, it looks like there's a battle happening with play calling. Like they've got to commit to the run, and then they just bail out too soon. I'm like, is Idzik doing that, or is Canales doing that? So I'm hoping Idzik is like, he trusts the process. They got the good O-line, add more weapons. Like I'm hoping they can lean into what they want to do and just stick with it. But,
yeah, good call.
All right, I'm going to take another Panther here. I'm going Chuba Hubbard. I think as far as running back scarcity goes, he's the last clear-cut starter that's still available. And when he's healthy and played over the last 2 years, he's been top 12, top 24 really easily. So I'm going to take Chuba here.
Yeah, that was pretty much the next.
It's a cliff now.
Pretty much a cliff at that point. You're taking dart throws the rest of the way. And I will take the first dart throw on here. We're still not 100% sure who the starting quarterback is for the Falcons. I'm going to bet on Tua being the starter, at least for a little while. Penix may eventually take over either by injury or by play. But for now, I think Tua has the inside track despite not being in camp yet. But I've done a bunch of stuff on Tua. My friends used to make fun of me and call me the Tua, super fan, because I did a lot of efficiency stats on Tua when he was really good in Miami. And he is a very efficient quarterback when healthy and given the weapons. Yep. It's just the health part that has really kind of hurt him over the last couple of years. And, hopefully the Falcons can find a way to keep him from getting hurt and make the magic happen again.
Him and Olave Eric, both a concussion away from retirement home.
Yeah. All right, Chew, back to you. Good luck.
You know what? There's two guys really that I feel pretty good about taking at this point. And I mean, good relative to who's left, not good as in like, this is round one. I feel great. But I'm gonna go Kenny Gainwell. He was paid a pretty solid amount of money at the time, the Bucs were still dealing with a recovering Bucky Irving. By all intents and purposes, he seems to be fine now. I think shoulder's healthy, everything. But I think what last season showed us, not just the fragility of the running back position, we already knew that, but I think, like we've talked about already a little bit on and a little bit before the show, the team is kind of in flux in Tampa Bay. Baker, it doesn't have his deal yet. His bowl is going to be fired. Mike Evans is gone.
Trade.
So, I mean, we don't know what the future of this team's going to look like, but I think the investment that they made in Kenny Gainwell and the season that he had last season in Pittsburgh, I think speaks to he could arguably be, which maybe is not saying much, the best kind of 1B running back in this division. In terms of if he's staying healthy, he can contribute both on the ground and through the air, even though he's tremendously small, but he's super compact, super powerful, super quick. So I think from a PPR standpoint, he's a easy plug and play flex any given week. So
yeah, he's basically the direct replacement for Rachaad White, who they used in that role, even when Bucky was healthy. So I think he steps into that role, and I think honestly he's a better rusher than Rachaad White was, so he can get some carry as well. So great pick. All right, Shane.
I am surprisingly going with another Panther, and I'm going Jalen Coker.
Nice. Cokeheads.
Especially with Brazil, however the hell you say it. I'm going to go with Coker. He was a fan favorite last year and put up respectable numbers as a wide receiver too, in what should have been a relatively run-heavy offense. If for some reason Ted McMillan, I'm not wishing this on you too, just want to be clear, but if Ted McMillan ever went down, like, Coker has to step up and be the number one, because Brazil as a rookie can't do it. I mean, I don't know if the talent is there for Brazil to actually do it. Coker at least has the experience and the chemistry with Bryce to hold that over, while if Tet were ever to get hurt. Sorry, Q.
Yeah, and they paid him, right? Did they give him an extension just recently, Q?
I think so.
Yep,
yeah.
they did. Yeah,
yeah.
Because they were also saying when he got that one, they were like, "That's all it costs." Which also, I know it's kind of coming off the game against the Rams, and they're like, "Yeah, that's the guy we're getting." It's like, hold on,
yeah,
that is a game that he had, and it's like the Gabe Davis playoff game. Yes,
Yeah.
I understand that one of the most recent games we saw him do was really good. That you can't just project that the rest of the season, but I do think that he is trending in the right direction to where he has shown that certainly anyone outside of Tet, he's the one that can step up. Brazil is very one-dimensional. Xavier Legette, I was
what
confused.
happened to him?
I was confused the day that pick was made, especially because they traded up. I'm still confused how he's still on the team, but maybe because Mingo, they could actually trick the Cowboys into trading for him. I don't know if they could even trade Legette. I guess.
They want
like
more interviews. That's really all he has for him.
That's accurate.
Yeah, he seems like a great, hardworking dude. He's always like he stays healthy, all that, but it's like it's not working out. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think the talent is there for Legette, but I don't know if he's been used right and if it's at the wrong system or what, but it's just been weird his whole time there.
Yeah.
All right. I am back on the clock.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, it's not pretty. I'm looking at a couple names that I kind of like here that could have a role. I'm going to go with one that I'm going to kind of take a stand on because there's a little bit of a debate on who the receivers are behind Ibuka and Godwin. And is it Hurst? Is it McMillan? And if you listen to all the camp right now, it sounds like McMillan has the inside track.
Nice.
So I'm going to go with McMillan, who is the the veteran there. He's not played a ton, but when that 1 year when Mike Evans was out, he had a pretty good season. Last year, injuries kind of slowed him down a little bit, but I'll take McMillan here. We called him on the my DFS podcast because he had one game that won us a lot of money. We called him McMillions because he had a really good game for everybody. He was really cheap that week and made us some money. So hopefully he can recapture that magic.
Nice.
Back to you, Chew.
We're getting close to the end of this thing. Hate to see it. I want to keep going forever. All right, so I don't feel bad about this pick either. Jonathan Brooks is my guy here.
I like that pick.
I do think he's getting a little overblown. I think it's probably a combination of him getting a little overblown and then Chuba Hubbard getting slept on a little bit, kind of at the same time. But I do think this is Hubbard's backfield right now. Not that I do think it's a 1A, 1B. It's not a clear cut 1 and 2. Of course, that's the whole reason. I mean, in the offseason that they did it, they signed Hubbard and then they drafted Brooks. So it's a pretty clear-cut decision of they want to put an emphasis on the rushing attack and have them both be involved in it. Unfortunately, injuries and everything hadn't worked out, but Brooks, I think, can be a great complement and substitute if injuries happen to Chuba Hubbard. But really hoping that they can actually commit to an offensive identity that is, based around that rushing attack. After investing in the offensive line, I mean, it's, I just really think they need to kind of pick a lane, stick with it, and I think that flows through Hubbard and Brooks.
Yeah, I like that. And he's been a hot topic in one of my dynasty leagues too for trades. The guy that owns him's been trying to move him, and everybody's kind of offering him different things. And I'm not ready to buy into it just yet, but obviously I think he has the opportunity. Let's hope he can stay healthy. I'd love to see him on the field. Very difficult career for him so far, so I'm rooting for him. But at this point, I think he's worth the dart throw for sure.
What's the asking price been in your dynasty league?
So
at this point,
the trade that was sent out included, it was Bayshal Tootin and Jonathan Brooks for 2 second-round picks for next year.
Okay.
So
for next year?
Yeah, for next year, for 2026.
That's two lottery tickets for a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
No, next year's draft is deep.
Yeah, it really depends.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, the uncertainty of Tootin and
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a second for Tootin right now is probably about right, especially if it's one that's trending later. But 2 seconds for him and Brooks, and you have no idea what Brooks is, especially with his health, that's a steep price.
Yeah, the price that was put out there, because it was the guy that wanted Tootin and Brooks that made that offer. He ended up rescinding it before it actually went through. But he's in that stage in July where he's like, I just got to make a trade. He's like sending out massive trades everywhere. So I think he may have gotten caught up in himself and almost forgot that. Oh yeah, I forgot Brooks hasn't even played much in his career yet. So maybe giving a second for him probably isn't the smartest thing.
Love it. All right, it's back to me.
Back to you.
I'm gonna go with Cade Otton. I think it's very close between him and Johnson for who's probably second best, but I think Otton has a little less competition and has shown some chemistry with Baker in the past.
Yeah, and
especially with Evans gone.
That's I was gonna say, with Evans gone too, he becomes sort of the red zone target a lot of times. So yeah, that's definitely got some upside there. All right, I am back on the clock, and the names I'm currently looking at, I'm still looking at Alvin Kamara there. I think, with a reduced role, maybe he can do something. And you mentioned Juwan Johnson. He's also on my list with the tight end premium. I think I will go Alvin Kamara, only because Kamara in his career was never really a big rusher. I don't think he's ever even rushed for 1,000 yards. So he's gotten all his value in fantasy in the PPR, in the passing game. So if they use Travis Etienne as the quote unquote rushing running back and then mix in Alvin Kamara, they can even put both of them on the field at the same time because they both can line up wide, one of them in the backfield, create all kinds of mismatches. So I think they're going to find a way to use Kamara this year. And at this late in the draft, I will bet on that upside.
Do you want to know the closest he came to 1,000 yards rushing?
It was like 996 or something, wasn't it?
No, he got 950. But do you know what year he did it in?
No, I don't.
2024.
2024.
I would have thought it would have come earlier in his career.
Yeah, he's always been the PPR guy. He's been a monster.
Do you know my favorite Alvin Kamara stat?
What is it?
His first 3 seasons, he got the exact same amount of receptions each year.
With
81.
I love the one, and I can't think of how many it was, but I believe it may have been Derek Carr was the quarterback, and they targeted Alvin Kamara like 20 times in one game. It was like a ridiculous number of targets. It was just like every time he dropped back, he's looking at Kamara. But yeah, Kamara, I think, still has that ability in him because if he hasn't been the big rusher. He doesn't have as much wear and tear as a running back his age normally has. He's been more of the PPR guy, so I think he can stay healthy a little bit longer than some of the other running backs. Chew, this is going to be your last pick in the NFC South Division. What do you got?
Well, nothing too exciting. I guess mentioned each of the last two picks, but not made, and that will be Juwan Johnson. That is the pick I got to go with. Obviously, I already have a couple of Saints on my team here, but I think he's another kind of underrated, underappreciated guy, and I think now it's kind of leveling out just because they are adding other weapons in that offense. So he will, from a volume standpoint, take a little bit of a step back. But I think what he's able to offer there, the guys behind him, between Delp, the rookie, Noah Fant, which I thought was a pretty interesting addition there. I think that combo, that'd be more for two tight end sets, but I do think that, especially with Fant as a blocker, but I do think Delp is kind of be the heir apparent to taking over Juwan Johnson in his role. But I think Johnson is pretty trusted in that offense to where, at this point in the draft, that's probably the best upside and floor I'm even seeing right now. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's probably where I would have gone there, especially in tight end premium for sure. All right, Chew, it is your last pick in the NFC South. What you got?
My name is Shane. Can you hear me okay still?
Yes, I can hear you.
yes.
Okay.
Also, I want to make another pick, so Geoff said I could do it.
Yeah, sorry. We did do that one time. I think last week Ryan got skipped, unfortunately. But Shane, yes, you are up.
I'm going to go with the guy that absolutely nobody is talking about, and he's probably going to get drafted on accident in casual leagues that people aren't paying attention with. And I'm going Brian Robinson because Tyler Algier has been a pain in the ass for the last 3 years to Bijan Robinson. And I think Brian Robinson's a relatively comparable player to Tyler Algier, and somebody's got to be that thorn in your side. And plus, if Bijan goes down, somebody's got to take that role, and it's Brian Robinson. And now I'm going to drop off for a second to try and fix my mic.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, Brian Robinson, right? I mean, poor guy goes to 49ers and has to be behind Christian McCaffrey. And then he goes to the Falcons, and now he has to be behind Bijan Robinson. And then Algier, almost the same thing, right? He was behind Bijan, and then he gets, out there, and now he's behind a top first-round rookie running back.
I will say, I mean, for Brian Robinson, I do think Algier was tremendously, undervalued and underappreciated. Because I mean, he did have a 1,000-yard season when he, as a rookie, came in, and then of course, understandably, got usurped by Bijan Robinson. But I mean, Brian Robinson, for whatever happened in Washington, whatever disgruntled, it didn't work out. That's fine, but it seemed like kind of righting the ship in terms of I don't think you can go play in Shanahan backfield and have some sort of attitude problems. So whether he did or didn't in Washington, I have no idea. But it seems like he's figured that stuff out. Filled in admirably when he needed to for Christian McCaffrey, even though Christian McCaffrey, of course, had another one of his 2 or 3 fully healthy, give me a couple hundred touches type season. So, but I mean, for Bijan, even when he's been healthy, they still used Algier to some level. So we could see the same thing there with the other Robinson.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, good deal.
I just was talking nonsense about Brian Robinson for as long as I could.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My mic is old enough to where if I bump the cord just right, it unplugs. And so then when I tried to plug it back in, it was just saying it was unplugged in the settings. So I was like, cool. So, but I got it fixed.
Good stuff. The price of doing live. All right, I am up with the last pick of the NFC South, and I'm going to go with a wide receiver that could potentially be the number 2 receiver on this team, and no one's really talking about him. He's a rookie, Zachariah Branch, because I think if you look at that depth chart, there is not a whole lot behind Drake London. I know Kyle Pitts probably is technically the second pass catcher in that offense, but Zachariah Branch, could end up being that number 2. Now, is that number 2 going to be worth anything? I'm not sure, but I'll take the upside chance with the last pick in the NFC South. So give me Branch. All right. Now we are going to start the AFC South. And since this is your division, Shane, I will give you the 101 here. As soon as I can make this pick, I'm getting a network error. All right, so let me close Sleeper and reopen it, and then I will make the pick. Go ahead and make your pick, Shane, and I will put it in once I get this thing fixed. Shane, we can't hear you. I don't know if you're on mute. Did the mic go out again? Just go to the internal if you have to. I mean the internal mic on your computer if you can do that. Just unplug it. It was working fine earlier. Shane might not get his 101 pick. We may have to make it for him.
Ooh.
Sign language. Can you do
Draw it
sign
on a piece of paper?
Yeah. Pick on a piece of paper. All right. So we will stall a little bit to see if we can get Shane back on here. So Chew, looking back at the draft there, anything surprise you in the way that things went? Anybody fall or anybody go higher than you thought?
I mean, the first Pitts went a little higher than I thought, although I think when you consider the tight end premium, I think it would have been acceptable if he went where he did, even if he fell probably past Egbuka maybe. Yeah, and then I was mostly just curious of like after you get probably past whatever his last name is now. Once you get past that, I was curious to see where that next tier of like Tyson, the other rookies, some of the Panthers. So it was kind of just like I can see the tiers now, but even there, I'm still like, it could still be shuffled around a little bit. It's just I don't feel comfortable about a lot of it after you get past the first couple stud players. So
yeah, I agree. I think looking at some of the last divisions we've done, the talent in that first round isn't as clear cut, right? It's sort of like, I could see Bucky Irvin over Pitts. I could see Olave being up over Pitts, and Buka you could put higher. The one that. Go ahead.
I think after Drake London, that group of Tet, probably to ETN, is probably what. Yeah, you could show you like. I was happy with getting any of those guys in that grouping at my picks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Shane, we have you back now. So AFC.
I don't know what the hell's been going on. Again, this to me feels like there's a very clear answer to this question of who do you pick here, because of positional scarcity. Again, I'm sorry to keep harping on that, but if you look at the running backs in this division, there is one clear-cut 100% starter that you absolutely want, in my opinion, and it's Jonathan Taylor, and that's who I'm taking.
Yeah.
Especially as a guy who has a chance to be the running back one overall. Like, is it likely because of Gibbs and Bijan? Probably not, but he's done it before, and he's got the talent to do it, and I think the opportunity.
That would be the clear-cut one for me as well. So we've now done two divisions, both these divisions, and the quarterback does not go 101. And either one of them, both of them have a running back going 101. Chew, you got the 102.
Well, I'll go back to my old roots of how these division previews have been going and abide by these super flex rules here and go with Trevor Lawrence here.
You mother.
He's the only pick.
I love you. That's a good pick.
I mean, it was a hot and cold season last year. Certainly ended much more hot than cold. I mean, the last 4 games, he was top 5 in each of those weeks, 2 of which were, it was the 1, 2, 5, and 3 in those last couple of games. And I think we finally saw that Liam Cohen offense kind of getting its legs underneath it. Of course, that was adding Jacoby Myers and then, of course, extending Jacoby Myers. All of this success was more or less in the absence of Brian Thomas Jr. And I don't mean like he didn't play or wasn't involved, but there was a little bit of injury. His role was kind of adjusted throughout the season. And I think we're kind of seeing, however you want to order it between, Myers and Washington and BTJ. I think Britton Strange, I'm glad they re-signed him too. I think he's tremendously underappreciated in the fantasy community. I'm talking about you guys, every single one of you. But, I think that running back room, it'll sort itself out. But I think Trevor Lawrence has a litany of weapons around him, and that Liam Cohen offense is going to just continue to ascend here in year 2.
I honestly think the wide receivers are going to be annoying this year, and it's going to be a Parker Washington week 1 week. It's going to be a Jacoby week 1 week. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will get his legs back under him.
Going to be
He'll
the
have
Packers of last year, where you couldn't figure out which receiver was
exactly. And I think at the end you'll probably end up with like maybe a 1 wide receiver 2 and 2 wide receiver 3s when it all shakes out at the end of the year rankings. But it's going to be a little annoying, I think.
Yeah, but I do think, to Shane's point, all of that benefits Trevor Lawrence. You know, he has all those weapons there available to him. I think it benefits him tremendously. All right, I am up at what is considered the 303 on this mock, but actually the 103 in the AFC South. And I was hoping this player would drop to me because on my DFS podcast, we actually have some drops for some special players that we tend to pick a lot. And the guy I'm about to pick has his own drop. I'm about to hit the drop, and then I'll make the pick.
Do it. We fly, no lie, you know it's falling rise outside. It's like showbiz.
It is Nico Ballins Collins, as we call him on our podcast. He is one of my favorite players in the NFL. I pick him a lot on the DFS podcast, which is why there is a drop for him. So I will take what I think is probably the teardrop. I think after this, it gets a little bit sketchy. But Nico is a perennial top 12 receiver. As long as Stroud doesn't do what he did last year in those playoff games where he just kept throwing interceptions. So hopefully he can get it fixed, go back to his rookie season, and get Collins.
Keep throwing interceptions, Stroud. You little. Finish that. All right. Geoff, I need a drop button for this draft specifically for 2 words. Positional scarcity. Give me Tyler Warren, because there is not another tight end in the division that I think is worth this high of a pick. Chew, I'm with you though. Brenton Strange, late round tight end pick. Hell yeah. But Tyler Warren, yeah. I saw it on X today. I can't remember who it was, but they mentioned Tyler Warren might need to be put on the pedestal that Brock Bowers has been put on. And I don't know if I'm ready to go there, but even from a dynasty perspective, like, he should probably be close to dynasty tight end 3 behind Bowers and McBride, if he's not already there.
I think
the Colson Loveland fans won't let that happen, but it should happen.
Yeah.
The 2 that are kind of in vying for it. And you can throw Fannin in the mix there as well. I think he's another one that, now that he's fully healthy, that can be thrown into the mix.
Yeah, but I just think that his versatility as a player and his talent, with, again, the lack of ability in the division at this position, you've got to take Tyler Warren here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it get like going forward at the other positions, it gets a little toss up kind of. And so I'm going to take the strongest one out of the one position.
Yeah, I think those top 4 picks are pretty much how it should have gone in any order, really. I think Taylor's probably obviously the 101, but I think you could have mixed those players up based on, you could have made an argument for any one of those between the 103 and the 101 or the 102. All right. It is what is Chew is your draft pick here.
Can I pass? Man, this is just a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D.
Weird.
This is not even a tier. It's just actually just subsets everybody underneath that.
Chew's going to make the first trade back in a division preview. he wants some picks.
What do I want? It's like, I want time. I don't even want nothing. I just want time.
We got the NFC West and AFC West next week. Can you get a pick for next week, you think, by giving this pick?
If we can do that, hey, you create the rules. All right. So, well, I can appreciate what Shane said about the positional scarcity, which would lean me to Brenton Strange. I am going to instead go receiver, and I'm going to continue to plant my flag for the one, the only Parker Washington.
Ooh.
I do think certainly in full PPR settings, he will be the wide receiver 1 on the Jaguars. And it could be close, but I do think Brian Thomas Jr., I do think he's not going to, well, it will be better than last year. I do think it will be. I don't think it's going to be rookie season Brian Thomas Jr. And with Jacoby Myers, I mean, he hit the ground running immediately, traded midseason, immediately got his feet under him. You know, the offense is, I'm sure, is going to be even more cohesive this year, but there's something about Parker Washington that I can't fully explain or even understand. And I think that in this offense, the Liam Cohen offense specifically, he knew how to unlock him, and that's just going to continue to go up from here. It's not going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown a couple years in hitting his stride, but I think it'll be like a lesser version of like a couple years in, he finally finds his footing in the right offense and just gets going.
Well, so to your point, Parker Washington at one point was kind of a Devy darling. Like he was higher ranked in Devy than he was in his final season before he got drafted. And then he got drafted, what, 5th round, if I remember correctly?
I think so.
And it didn't make sense to me why he fell so far, because the production in college, I don't think dropped off significantly enough for him to fall that far, especially with where the Devy community had him. Because usually the Devy community, like, there are certain players, that they're way, like, they're ahead of on the NFL, or they're too high on. But Washington was one of those guys that it was like, okay, everything's kind of tracking along, and then he just dropped. So I think, to your point, Chu, the talent is there. He just had to find the right controller to put him in the right spots, and I think he's done that with Cohen. So
yeah, and I like the spicy take saying that he could be the receiver one there. Because I think he would be, if you were to poll the fantasy community, people would have him as third in the pecking order behind Myers and BTJ possibly. All right, I am back on the clock and trying to decide if I want to go with the super flex route there and take one of the quarterbacks. Actually, yeah, I think I'll do that. I will take actually Daniel Jones. Kind of lit the NFL on fire last year before he got hurt. Nobody saw that coming. The Colts were probably the best team in the NFL at that point that he went down. And Shane, you look a little confused by that pick.
I am very confused by that pick, but what you're saying makes sense. But when you said Superflex, I figured you were going Stroud or Ward, not Jones.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones is the safer pick. I think he has the better pieces around him. Stroud does not have an offensive line still. I feel like they just don't care about his health. And Cam Ward, I think eventually will be good. But if we're doing redraft, I want production from week 1. And I think Jones will be healthy week 1. And I think
I saw something today that said he was cleared
to play. So, yeah, I like Jones here at this pick for the QB2 in this division.
Interesting. I like that, actually. Okay. I'm going to throw you guys a curveball. I think maybe not, because Dynasty is more of my wheelhouse. I'm going Carnell Tate here.
Nice.
I saw somebody compare him right around the draft to basically being George Pickens, but without the attitude problems. And I was like, holy shit, give me as much Carnell Tate as I can get, because I loved George Pickens. So George Pickens and I went to the same high school, and he was recruited by Auburn, and then flipped to Georgia last minute and was phenomenal at Georgia. If he had not gotten hurt when he did, I think George Pickens could have easily been the wide receiver 1 in his draft class, easily, because the talent was there prior to the injury. So if you're telling me Carnell Tate can be what George Pickens is and can be without the attitude problems, I will take that 100 times out of 100. So maybe that's a little spicy, but I'm going to take Carnell Tate because I think he also has the clearest path from who's left to be the wide receiver 1 on his team. Everywhere else is a little murky, and Carnell Tate has to beat Wan'Dale Robinson and Kamir Dike and some other guys that you probably don't remember their names. Xavier Restrepo.
And Calvin Ridley's still there, surprisingly.
Yes.
The gift of Calvin Ridley.
We'll get to that later.
But yeah, I agree there. I think he has a clear-cut path to be the number 1. I think the fact that they drafted him so high sort of, puts him on track to be the number 1. I don't know how much the number 1 receiver for the Titans is going to be worth, but he will have that track, and I think that's a great pick in this spot. Chu, where are you going next?
Oh, man. Well, we've only taken one running back, so I might as well take the second. And no offense, I know we talked about Bashal Tuden recently, but I'm going to not quite get on that train yet. I'm going to go David Montgomery. I know the O-line is Swiss cheese, but I did appreciate, though, getting I think probably Wyatt Teller is probably the anchor of that O-line right there. So getting him, adding a couple other pieces around it, better than I would say it was last year. But there was just so much shuffling, when I was seeing them, getting rid of people and not fully investing in it in the draft. It was kind of confusing. But I think it at least is not going to be as bad as last season, which comparatively is a step up. So everything's relative. But I think Montgomery, him getting a chance to kind of full circle, started his career coming in and got to lead the backfield in Chicago. And now him getting a chance to, again, his career's not over, but from in running back years, kind of his peak, this is kind of ending the kind of peak of his career, getting a chance to lead a backfield and have Woody Marks as the clear complement to him. I think is going to be good and at least should be worth, some touchdowns here and there.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. And Montgomery has been getting getting overlooked. I think even if we were doing a full regular fantasy draft, he's getting overlooked as being, somebody that honestly in this offense, he could ball out. He can, being the fact that he's going to get almost a full workload. Marks is there, obviously we mentioned, but it's going to be a larger workload than he's had in the past. And if he can do what he did in Detroit, I think he'll be great. All right, I'm up on the clock. And I think I'm going to go back to Shane's point that he's been driving home with positional scarcity. And I will take a tight end here, and I will take Brenton Strange. Another guy that we played a lot in DFS because he was cheap and no one would really buy into him. So the price never went up, but produced week in and week out, and then got the contract to secure our fear that he might not be with Jacksonville anymore. He's going to be there for a little while, and I think they've got some faith in him, and I think he will fit well in that offense. So I will take Brenton Strange here in the tight end premium league.
All right, we're gonna play. I'm gonna start a game here and see if Chew catches on and how long we play the game. I'm gonna go Jacoby Myers here because Jacoby Myers, from a PPR standpoint, I think can be Trevor Lawrence's safety blanket. And when T-Law needs his binky, he's got Jacoby Myers, because as soon as he got Jacoby Myers, he started inching up the ranks of QB because he knew where Jacoby Myers was going to be, when Jacoby Myers was going to be there, and got him the ball. And that allowed Parker Washington, I think, to also escalate. So I'm going Jacoby Myers here.
I like that pick. He is probably the most boring wide receiver in the NFL and has an entire career. Like, nobody gives him any respect. He just produced when he was with the Patriots, and then
even with the Raiders.
With the Raiders, and he was producing there, and then it's just but nobody wants to give him any respect. I think the big thing that early in his career that was kind of a detriment was he was not scoring touchdowns.
He didn't catch touchdowns, yeah.
Yeah, he just did not catch touchdowns, but he fixed that problem, and now he's kind of showing out a little bit. Then when he got traded to Jacksonville last year, really just stepped in, became the number one immediately. It seemed like he was already on the same page with Trevor Lawrence, and I think that'll just continue to grow with a full off season. So love that pick there. All right, Chew, last pick for you in the first round of the AFC South. What you got?
Ooh, so much to pick from. Well, I'm just going to accept that this is super flex, and I don't feel great about this because I have long thought that he has been overvalued, especially considering what his rookie season was. I'm going to go CJ Stroud. Yeah. So when comparing the Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, it truly seems like I can see that chart of how it started, and it's just been steadily crossing to where Bryce Young is looking to be the better of the two. As a pro as well, not just
hopefully
overall.
I'm going to make you feel better. It's not just your fandom speaking.
Yes.
Because and maybe it's because I've been a Bryce Young supporter since he was drafted too. Like, I supported him going number one overall. But Stroud has just been, like you said, dropping. And Bryce Young, it hasn't been steady upward, but he's going upward. And their weapons at this point are comparable. I think Young's are probably worse.
Yeah.
But Young, his production continues to go up, and I think he's figuring it out. And Stroud is leaning into that. Ohio State QBs don't pan out in the NFL, and I love it. But no, I'm with you there.
And it seems like I remember there's a game last season. Like I was watching it, and I'm just like, they're gonna put in Davis Mills, right? Like I remember when Davis Mills got drafted, and I was like, because I watched him, and it was watching him, and that was probably like the first offseason I like really started like watching tape through my stupid brain to try and understand what was happening. And like watching him and Simi Fioco, a guy who I also thought was going to turn into something. But
Fioco, what a name!
I was like, Mills is not bad. I'm like, what am I missing here? I was like, I'm not a first round quarterback, whatever, but like he went there, and I'm like, all right, well, he's a pretty solid quarterback on a terrible team. But now it's like him, the Mac Jones, some of the guys where it's just like, they're the capable quarterbacks that can run an offense, which when the starter just crumbles and falls apart, you put the other guy in who's just level headed, can make pretty much any throw, nothing flashy, just do it. And I was like, I think Davis Mills should be in for CJ Stroud right now. And it wasn't just like a knee-jerk reaction thing. It was just like I know for a fact he will not lose you the game. Yeah. Stroud is losing you the game right now. Like, and I feel like I'm like, but we're a couple years in now. Like, how is this happening still? And it wasn't just the one game. Like, it's just been going the wrong direction. I don't get it. But I picked him, so that's confusing, right?
Let's pick him in the back.
Endorsement.
Yeah, I saw a video on Twitter today with him reporting the camp, and he was dressed in his like casual clothes, and he looked like the biggest dork ever. And the caption read like, "Throw 4 interceptions in the playoff game, you lose all your aura," because he did not look like an athlete. He looked like some dorky guy coming to the stadium. So Stroud has kind of taken a little bit of a downturn over the last couple of years. All right, I am up with the last pick in the first round, and I will take the player that nobody saw getting paid this offseason. I know he was a free agent that was talked about, but Alec Pierce got his money. You got to follow the money sometimes. The Colts obviously believe in him. He had a pretty good season last year. Quietly had a good season, and they paid him for it. So I think I will take him here with my last pick in the first round.
Neither one of you played my game.
I didn't know what game we were playing.
I was gonna see if we could get 4 Jags drafted in a row.
I assume you wanted me to pick Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah,
that or Tootin.
Yeah,
I feel like both of those could have been those picks too. But I like Pierce, and with the Superflex, Stroud's a good pick too. I'm gonna take Brian Thomas Jr. here. The talent of his rookie year, I think, can be recaptured. And I mean, he's 6'4". At the very least, you can use him as a red zone threat. And with the speed that he's got, he can also take the top off the defense. So I'm hoping that his talent will be recaptured from his rookie year, and he'll get rid of his yips and he'll be better.
Yeah, I think him and Trevor Lawrence just have never gotten on the same page, because if you look at even the rookie year for Brian Thomas Jr., it was all Mac Jones that got him all those, receptions and points and yards and everything else. And him and Trevor Lawrence just never connected. So hopefully they can figure that out this year, because he is a tremendous talent. I think he's lost some of his confidence. Dropped a lot of passes last year that wasn't really indicative of him. So hopefully he gets that confidence back, and him and Lawrence can get on the same page. Chew, you got the 202.
Well, this may be surprising. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with a running back, but I'm going to go with Tony Pollard. Okay. So this guy it feels like everyone's just kind of collectively waiting for him to like actually lose his job.
Yes.
Because there's like, oh, they got Tajay Spears now. Oh, it's like, if he loses his job, he will have aged out. It's not because he's so atrocious or so bad. Like, he's a true,
overrated.
Huh?
He is overrated. He has been since Dallas.
That's true. I do feel like what he ended up getting leaving Dallas, they were like, oh, well, like, so you can just do everything, right? It's like, well, what allowed him to be good is he was behind Zeke. Exactly. And it allowed him to be
tier 1 change of pace back.
But with what we're left, I like the idea of Tony Pollard, squeeze the last little bit of juice out of him, and in an offense that should be better than last year. But as we saw, he does not have, the juice to overcome a poor offense as a whole. Last season was not tremendous by any means, but I do think that of the players behind him, no offense to Spears, I do think Singleton is going to be a nice player, but Pollard is the clear lead in that backfield right now, and we are at the beginning of the second round of this division, and it's getting murky.
Getting murky. Yeah, I mean, Pollard's got 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons and 4 consecutive top 24 running back finishes. So, to your point, unfortunately, he's going the wrong direction because it was 7, and then 15, and then 21, and then last year 24. So, might fall out of that top 24 this year.
Below 24.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think he's a good pick there for sure. All right, I am up on the clock, and Bashal Tootin is still there smiling at me.
Do it.
Josh Downs is also kind of smiling at me a little bit. Kim Ward is still hanging around. You know what? I'm gonna go Bashal Tootin. He's hung around long enough. He's got more hype than I think he deserves to have. He kind of had a lot of hype even last year. He might be a little bit overrated at this point, but in this division, with what's left on the board, he is worth the shot for sure. So I'll take Bashal Tootin here.
Shout out fellow Hokie.
I think
For one
Bashal
season.
Tootin might be the Michael Jordan of Tony Pollard.
Could be.
I like it.
I hope you caught that or could follow that train of thought there. All right. Thank you, Geoff. You scared me. I think I'm about to surprise you all that this is my favorite player of this entire draft. Josh Downs. I have loved Josh Downs since he came out of North Carolina. And I think as the number 2 option or number 2 wide receiver in Indianapolis, and he actually had a decent connection with Danny Jones.
He did.
Danny Dimes before he got hurt. He doesn't get talked about a ton. He also hadn't been super healthy his whole NFL career, but that kid can play football, and I love him. So I'm going Josh Downs here.
Yeah, looking at it, a couple games earlier in the season when he was with Danny Dimes, had 2 8-target games and a 9-target game. So definitely has some rapport with Danny Dimes, and if he's healthy, I think that's a good call there. Obviously, Pittman's no longer there. Alec Pierce is not really the guy that worked the middle of the field like Downs can do, so I think he does some things differently. I think Downs and Tyler Warren are probably competing for those targets more than Pierce.
They're on the same team. That's why I was giggling.
Yeah. All right, Chew.
Well, you took Tootin, so I'm going to take C-Rod. So I do think that, I know there's obviously the college connection of what C-Rod has with the coach, but I think more than that, I think it's just they clearly want the kind of thunder and lightning element in that backfield. And I do think instead of these guys being even remotely substitutes of one another, they are very clearly this one does this and this one does this. And, I think Chris Rodriguez, coming out of college, I think he was a good overall back, certainly not a PPR nightmare by any means, but, I think he's more than a plotter. I don't think he's someone who's just going to be just eating up some carries just to turn the clock or anything like that. But I know he's not the most explosive guy, but I do think in this offense, there is a true value to Cohen is going to trust him with enough volume that I think is going to be worthwhile. And while there's going to be a lot of explosive plays with Tootin out of the backfield, I do think Rodriguez is going to have a big enough role to where it's going to make sense. Because, again, he's a priority free agency signing. So, I do think that there's something to be said about that.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I like that pick a lot. All right. I am back on the clock, and I was looking to see if I was correct on something. And I think I'm going to go with a rookie running back here. And there's technically a guy on the depth chart that's higher than him on his team. But I'm going to take the upside of Nicholas Singleton here. He's a pass catcher. He's, not probably ever going to be a number 1, I don't think. but can be a good complement to Tony Pollard. Tajay Spears has had tons of injuries. And I think Singleton, honestly, is a little bit more talented than him. So I will take Tajay. I'm sorry. I'll take Nicholas Singleton here over Tajay Spears, who's technically higher in the depth chart than he is.
I hate you, Geoff. Like father to son, hate you right now. That's a great pick. I actually love Singleton. I think he's been a guy, especially in dynasty drafts, that I've been taking late because I think there's a path for him as Pollard gets older to actually take over as the RB1. I think he's got plenty of talent to do it.
Yep, I love it.
You just spit in my Cheerios. I think I'm gonna take I'm on the clock here, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna take the easy pick and go Cam Ward here. In a super flex drift, I feel like he is lasted a little bit too long, and with the addition of Cardinal Tate, Singleton, you've still got Pollard and Spears. You added Wan'Dale Robinson, and you still have Calvin Ridley. I like Cam Ward. I think he's got the potential to rise this year and get into that QB2 range pretty easily.
Love it. Yeah, we saw some couple flashes last year of what his talent level is. I think the one that I can really remember is when he was rolling out to his right and throws a pass to his left all the way across the field for a touchdown. You saw his talent on that play, and I think if he can put it all together with the pieces that he has, like you mentioned, all the improvements to the offense, he can definitely take that step forward. All right, Chew.
So it's basically which Iowa State receiver am I taking, and I won't let that sit for too long. It's going to be Jaden Higgins here. This is 2 wide receiver sets. It's going to be him and Nico Collins. It's the Twin Towers out there. If CJ Stroud is going to just continue to be throwing in fear, you might as well be throwing to 2 monsters out there. And I do think that Higgins coming out of college, him and Noel obviously playing on the same team in college and obviously in the pros. I thought Higgins' is certainly skill set translated pretty immediately to the NFL. I mean, he was pretty productive last season, catching a couple of touchdowns. But of course, it was very much the Nico Collins show. Dalton Schultz still tremendously involved. But I think between the two, between Higgins and Noel, I think Noel is a really intriguing talent too. It doesn't help that Dale is working his way back and Noel is currently finding himself dealing with an injury. So I think that Higgins is kind of the safest, second pass catcher. Should be ahead of Dalton Schultz, although I think he'd gotten re-signed as well. And I think there's a lot of trust and faith with that offense with Schultz, but I'm going to go Jaden Higgins here.
Yeah, I love that call. All right, I am up on the clock, and I'm going to go with a guy that always been overlooked. He has now had 2 straight seasons with 140 targets, which is nothing to sneeze at. And you're looking at the list that I have, and you're like, who the heck are you talking about? Because who has that? It's Wan'Dale Robinson. You would not expect 140 targets from Wan'Dale Robinson. Doesn't do a whole lot with them, unfortunately, but it is PPR, so I will take the PPR upside of that many targets. He's had 92 and 93 receptions over the last 2 years. Unfortunately, only a total of 7 touchdowns, but I will take Wan'Dale here this late with a little bit of PPR upside. All right, Shane, it is your last pick of the AFC South.
I like that Wan'Dale pick quite a bit. Damn it, man. There's 2 players that I want here, actually. We're gonna go Woody Marks because this team that I'm drafting for doesn't have a running back, and he's the clear-cut running back 2 in that system, and could I don't want to say very easily. He could easily be the RB1. I think he's kind of being overlooked because Monty was brought in. And I think he offers a bit more pass catching upside than Monty does. So even if Monty is the true RB1 and they go Thunder, Lightning, or whatever you want to call it, like Marks has that pass catching upside.
Yeah, I mean, there is a world that exists that the Detroit Lions let the Montgomery go because they think he's washed, right? I mean, there is that possibility. So maybe, they got him and he's not what they think he is, and Marks ends up being the RB1 there. So it is a possibility. And Kyle is saying that there's still some
Saw
good
that.
good talent in this division.
Such a dork.
All right, Chew, this is your last pick in the AFC South.
Who? Well, this is tough. Not like it's going to really matter, but it's tough. Instead of picking more Texans, I initially would think Dalton Schultz here. I'm going to go Gunnar Helm. Chikakonkwo is out of town, which I do think he's actually in a nice spot now in Washington. But, Helm, I think, mildly involved last season. And I think it says a lot with them not re-signing Chig and not bringing in any, again, I mean, they basically just brought some of Daboll's guys with Bellinger joining the tight end room. So it really is, it's Gunnar Helm leading this group. And I don't think that means he's going to be, like the second leading pass catcher on this team. But even if he's, the third, if it's looking behind Ward and Wan'Dale Robinson, not horrible. And certainly with the second to last pick in this draft here for this division, shooting for the moon, trying to land in the stars, something like that.
That was catchy. I like that.
All right. So Gunnar Helm was your pick, and I'm going to say who I should take here, but then I'm going to take somebody else just to sort of for the content and to make
What
a point.
is wrong with you?
Dalton Schultz should be the pick here.
I disagree.
But the pick that I'm going to take is what I do in my leagues is I have, I want as many players valuable as possible. And I actually have return yardage as part of my leagues. And Shimere DK was awesome player last year for any league that has kickoff returns. He had nearly 2,000 yards in just kickoff and punt returns by himself. And he was a big play threat when he played on offense as well. So, yes, he may not be a traditional guy that you're going to look for in a regular league, but if your league has kickoff and return points, he is a tremendous player. So I will take him with my final pick and encourage everybody that, now this day and age with the Scott Fish Bowl and all the crazy scoring, that is one thing you can put in your league that's a little bit different that, adds some value to some players that you wouldn't normally think about, especially now that they've added the kickoff, making it more valuable once again. It's no longer just let's kick it off because we have to, but no one's going to run the ball back this year. This past year we saw a ton of returns. So
should I add that to Polly's? There's still time.
I think you should. I love it. All my leagues have kickoff and punt returns. It makes it really interesting, especially if you can get a guy. There's a time, because I've had my league now for 28 years.
God, you're old.
Yeah, yes, I am. There's a time when I had Antonio Brown, and if you remember correctly, he used to return punts for the Steelers back in the day, and he was a tremendous player already. And then you add on the punt return yardage as well, and he was just a monster. So, now that there's some excitement back in the kickoffs, he's one of the players that I like to try to look for late that no one's thinking about.
Nice.
All right. Well, that wraps up the AFC and the NFC South. Shane, I want to thank you for coming on and filling in for Ryan.
Tell Ryan he's a slacker, but I said thanks for being a slacker.
Yeah, he's probably at the beach right now, or at least driving to the beach, or maybe he's already there.
Nice.
His annual trip to the Outer Banks. So before we get out of here, Shane, one more time, plug your tournaments and tell us where we can go sign up for that. And then Chew, you can give us your sign off as well.
I'm going to rant for just a minute, Geoff. One, Calvin Ridley should have been that last pick. I know he's not sexy, but he had 1,000 yards in his first season in Tennessee when he actually played the full season. And then he didn't play the full season last year. And so that's why people are sleeping on him. Number two, a deep-ass sleeper for you at tight end is Jaron Kanik. The kid was a track athlete in high school and ran ridiculously fast, but he's playing tight end in the NFL. And then three, I tweeted this a few weeks ago, and you mentioned bringing me on. If you're in Dynasty, everyone's talking about the 27 draft and how loaded it is, which is true. I said in that tweet a couple weeks ago, trade for 2028 picks too, because with the way that NIL is working now, there are going to be some players that we see or think are going to come out in this 27 draft that are going to get more money to stay in college this year and come back in 2027, and then they're going to be in the 2028 draft because they're out of eligibility. Trade for some 2028 picks, even if it's just first and seconds, and be ahead of the game that way. So those were my 3 things I wanted to throw in before I plugged Polly's Playoff. So you can sign up at optimusfantasy.com/Polly's Playoff. I've got a pinned tweet that you can fill out the Google form that way, or just DM me and I can send you the link. It's either at FFShaneB or at Polly's Playoff on X, and then I've got a Polly's Playoff account for Blue Sky. If you're on there, I don't care. If you are, whatever. Like, do whatever you want on social media, but that's where you can sign up for the tournament. And then as far as content goes, I do still write an Auburn article. I had one big question for the SEC for each team in the SEC that came out before SEC Media Days, and that's at theleaguewinners.com. And then I'll do a game preview every week for Auburn football for the league winners, and try to sprinkle in some recruiting because I love recruiting. It's one of my favorite things about college football. So, but Auburn's class is mostly wrapped up at this point. So,
good stuff. Chew, you got to follow that up.
What do I say? Well, you can find me on Twitter at Father Dynasty, and you can check out my Substack, Faux Football, either on Substack or at fauxfootball.com. And obviously, check us out every Wednesday here, especially now that we got the close to the season starting. It'll be every single Wednesday.
Yep, absolutely. I wanted to just shout this out real quick that Kyle has in the chat. His deep sleeper, if anybody wants a deep sleeper, Dante Myers, wide receiver for Cincinnati, should be available in most leagues. I honestly had not heard his name until now, so I will go look him up in my dynasty leagues, and assume he's available, I'll pick him up. So good shout out, Kyle. As always, guys, follow me on Twitter at Geoff Lambert77. As Chew mentioned, we are every Wednesday now. We had been going every other Wednesday and sometimes every other Wednesday. But we are back to every Wednesday through the rest of the season. We'll be doing the NFC West and the AFC West next week. And then the week after that, we're going to have real football to talk about because we'll have some preseason games under our belt. So we'll be able to actually talk about some real stuff for once. So that'll be interesting as well. For Chew, for Shane, I am Geoff, and we will see y'all next week.
Deuces.